The Rise and Fall of Nations: Forces of Change in the Post-Crisis World by Ruchir Sharma, published in 2016, offers a compelling framework for understanding why nations succeed or fail in the modern global economy. Sharma, a seasoned investor and head of emerging markets at Morgan Stanley, draws on decades of global travel and economic analysis to identify 10 key rules that govern the rise and decline of economies. Written in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, the book provides a data-driven, accessible guide for assessing national prospects in a rapidly changing world, blending macroeconomic insights with vivid anecdotes from countries as diverse as China, Brazil, and Germany. Sharma argues that the post-crisis era has accelerated shifts in global economic power, making it critical to understand the forces driving growth or stagnation. His 10 rules serve as a diagnostic toolkit, focusing on metrics and trends often overlooked by traditional economists. These include population dynamics, political leadership, debt levels, currency strength, and investment flows. For instance, Sharma emphasizes demography as a pivotal factor. Nations with youthful growing populations like India tend to thrive, while aging societies such as Japan face stagnation unless offset by innovation or immigration. He also highlights the hype trap, where excessive optimism about so-called hot economies like Brazil in the 2000s leads to overinvestment and eventually busts. So, the book's first rule, People Matter, really underscores the importance of population growth and workforce participation. Sharma draws a pretty sharp contrast between India's demographic dividend and, well, China's looming aging crisis, which has only been made worse by its one-child policy. Then Rule 2, the Circle of Life, takes a closer look at economic cycles, reminding us that no nation stays on top forever. For instance, China's rapid rise is already showing signs of slowing down, mostly because of debt and overcapacity. Now, Rule 3, Good Billionaires, Bad Billionaires, dives into the topic of inequality. The idea here is that economies really thrive when wealth is productive. Think tech entrepreneurs instead of extractive like oligarchs. Sharma's data actually shows that countries with fewer crony billionaires, such as South Korea, tend to sustain growth over the long run. Some of the other rules focus on governance and policy. The state, which is Rule 4, emphasizes that efficient, non-intrusive governments are key to fostering prosperity. For example, Singapore's success stands in stark contrast to Venezuela's mismanagement. And then geography, which is Rule 6, points out how a country's location really shapes its trade and growth. Landlocked nations, for instance, often lag behind, unless, of course, they manage to innovate, just like Switzerland has done. So, factories first, which is Rule 7, argues that manufacturing really does remain a cornerstone of development, just as we've seen in Vietnam's export-led boom. Sharma also warns us against over-reliance on a cheap currency. This is covered in The Price of Onions, or Rule 8, which honestly can mask some pretty serious structural weaknesses. And then there's excessive debt, referred to as the debt devil, which is Rule 9, that, well, crippled Greece after 2008. Sharma's final rule, called the Hype Watch, cautions us against believing media-driven narratives about so-called miracle economies. He points to case studies like Russia's commodity-driven boom and bust to show how hype can really distort reality. The real strength of the book lies in its global scope and practical insights, all grounded in Sharma's on-the-ground observations, like bustling markets in Lagos or, on the flip side, empty malls in Dubai. Critics note that the rules can feel, a bit reductive, and some data, like on debt thresholds, has sparked debate among economists. Still, Sharma's engaging prose and focus on actionable metrics make the book a vital read for investors, policymakers, and anyone curious about global trends. The Rise and Fall of Nations remains relevant for its timeless principles, offering a lens to evaluate economies in 2025, from India's tech-driven ascent to Europe's demographic struggles. Its place on bestseller lists and endorsements from figures like Fareed Zakaria reflect its impact, urging readers to look beyond headlines to the forces shaping our world. This has been Ruchir Sharma's The Rise and Fall of Nations: Forces of Change in the Post-Crisis World. Cheers for watching Speedbook Reviews. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel.